Welcome everybody to the Gecko Pod. This is episode 65. We are a podcast for the gecko community where we talk about the hobby of breeding geckos. We talk about the business side as well. Today we have a friend, Bev Williams from Morph Galaxy. We've met her at various shows. She's always come to say hi to us, and we've always chit-chatted at the shows. And now, Bev, we get a chance to hang out with you here on the Gecko Pod. And yeah, we're so excited to talk with you. And before we go into any sort of detail, we got to ask you about Nick Cage.
Yeah, everybody saw it. You went viral, Bev, for having Nick Cage come to your booth at the show and buy some geckos from you. So give us the rundown.
Tell us about Nick Cage.
I feel lucky that he chose my booth to buy from. They let him in early at the show, so he came in at an hour before the show opened, so that he was there. So I was just putting geckos out when he first walked up, and I actually saw him. Someone had said, "Nick, that's Nick Cage," and I turned around and looked, and then I looked again, and I'm like, "I guess it is, huh?" So he walked up with his wife and child and walked over to me, and I said, "Hey, would you like to hold one? They're really soft. I don't know if you've ever felt them before." And he held the one that I put out for him. And then he handed back to me and says, "I think it peed on me." So I was like, "Oh, cool. One of my geckos peed on Nick Cage." So he used my hand sanitizer, cleaned off his hands. And you can see he was dressed in purple, and my whole booth has got that purple kind of theme. So I don't know if that's what drew him to me or what, but
yeah, he loves purple.
Yeah, he had said, I'll be back. So he wandered off again and looked. He's big into the monitor lizards, so I know that he did buy one or two monitors, and then he also bought a Chewy at the show. So
that's cool.
He did buy from other people, not just me, and it wasn't just Cresteds. He came back 2 more times, and he really had his eye on a couple geckos. He wanted red. The red really drew him, and he pointed to 2 of my red lilies, and I pulled them both out, and he's like, "I'm looking for a pair." And I said, "Are you looking to breed?" And he's like, no, I just want a pair. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well then you don't want these 2 because this is a male and that's a female." So I threw the male back in and said, "Let's find a female compatible size that would go with this if you want to put the pair together." So I pulled another one out. He wasn't interested in that. I pulled, I went, "Oh, I know, I got the gecko for you." And I went over and pulled out the dark contrast one, and he loved it. As soon as he saw it, the contrast of the 2 of them. And he said, "All right." And then he was pointing to a different red one that I had. And I said, "Well, she's a little smaller. She won't pair up well with these 2 because they're not the same size." So he's like, "All right." And his wife had wandered off, so he had to go follow and hunt her down. And the guy that was with him had said, "If he purchases these from you today, could you hold them till I end the show tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem." So he left, the show opened, and he was still there, and he all of a sudden got just swarmed by people. So he beelined it out and headed out the door. I saw him go right by my booth and head out the door. And about an hour later, the guy that was with him came to the booth and said what were the 2 he was interested in. And I showed him the 2, and he said, okay, he wants to buy them. So he purchased for him. Nick didn't come back and actually purchase from me, but they were for Nick. Yeah. And so he said, "Hold them till end of the day tomorrow." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, great." And then the next morning, same guy came back and said, "What was the other one he was looking at, the red one?" And I said, the littler one, that one right there." And he goes, "Yep, he wants him too, or her too." And I said, "All right, great."
All right.
So that was it. So he bought the 3 from me, and that was end of story. So, awesome. But cool guy. Oh my God, the voice. So, I mean, as soon as he talks, it's that same voice you hear in the movies. Really nice guy. Super mellow. And yeah, he was just interested in buying some to have as pets. So
yeah, I was telling my wife that like the week after I saw your post about him coming to buy geckos, I was like, it's just funny to think that, obviously we all love these animals, but even people that we deem as like celebrities or actors or musicians or all these different things, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that love these animals too. We just don't know. And so it's a universal thing that brings all these people together liking, geckos. So
I've seen at Gecko Junkie, one of his past posts that he sold a gecko to Dwight Howard, right?
That's so funny. Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool that some celebrities are into reptiles as well.
Yeah, so there's another show in Vegas coming up in September. So supposedly he might be there again. So we'll see. But cool. I'll be at that show, and we'll see if he comes back by, because I'd like to know how my geckos are doing with him.
Yeah,
so that would be cool.
So cool. You got to ask him if he keeps them in his pyramid that's near his house. I think he has a pyramid at his house. Ask him if he keeps them in there.
I don't know, but I know that he's got like a crow. A piebald crow, and he's got the monitors, and in the past he's had like some white king cobras and octopus. Wow. He kind of dwells a little bit in the odd, unusual stuff. He had a 2-headed snake that he had for a while, so kind of cool.
Is that any surprise? It's not a surprise to me.
No, not to me either. Yeah.
It's so
Rich people like exotic things. So.
Yeah, and he's a funny guy. So
yeah.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for telling us.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, it was pretty cool to meet him and talk to him and actually have him buy my geckos. So.
Yeah. So Bev, give us a little bit of a rundown of who you are, where you're at location wise. When did you start? How'd you get into crested geckos? Give us the snippet of who you are and where you're from.
So I'm in Southern California at Huntington Beach. So about 3 miles from the beach. Love it here. We take the beach for granted because we're so close. We never go, but it's kind of cool. My youngest son is actually the one who got into the crested geckos. He had a couple leopard geckos, and he started like researching online into the colors and the morphs, and really got into it. And in researching those, saw the cresteds and was really interested in the cresteds. And I said, let's go to a show. And so we went to our first reptile show, which was the Reptile Super Show in Anaheim in 2013.
That's a good first show.
It was a good first show, but it's not been that long. I haven't been in it as long as a lot of people have, so I wish I had. But what it is. So
you're kind of in the middle. I feel like, Harry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like people have either been in it like since like 2006, or they got in at COVID. Like there's like a lot of 2020. There's not a lot of like middle ground, so you're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, cool. So I'm 2013 when we got our first cresteds. And then we both wanted to try breeding. We just kept going to the shows. After that one, we went to another show. We bought another. It just kind of went, spiraled at that point. And, we would go to 3 to 4 shows a year, and I'd always take cash from my pocket and let's go get some geckos. And, that's how it started. And, we knew about the breeding and everything, but we didn't want to do it. I didn't want to really start breeding until I knew that I had an out for it. So I didn't want to just breed to breed. I wanted to make sure that if we were going to do this, that it was going to be to where we could, be able to move the geckos on. And at that point, the Instagram wasn't out. We weren't into I didn't know about the forums and any of that stuff. So I didn't really have any way to know, other than vending at a show, how to sell geckos.
Yeah. So why crested geckos? What was so you went to a show and somebody handed you one, or?
Well, no, he had researched them before.
Okay. So you already knew going to the show, that's what you were looking for.
That's what we were getting. We knew that going to the show. Yeah. And he had picked flame as his first, what he wanted. And we went to the show specifically in mind with, he knew what he wanted to get, and that's what we were getting. Well, we had never held one at that point, and it didn't really, wasn't really a thing of, oh, these are so cool. It was just a matter of that's what he wanted. So that's what he got. I mean, we've had a lot of reptiles over the years: snakes, beardeds, iguanas, frogs, chameleons. We've been through them all, I've had a lot. So,
that's so cool.
But the crested was what captured my attention and his. Yeah. And, so we continued on.
So he first got flames, and then what was the next thing? Was it get multiple flames in a row, or did you start to pivot and look, there's
See,
Dalmatians,
he likes the high whites, so he wanted something white. And lilies weren't out at that time, or if they were, we didn't know about them at that time. They weren't at the shows we were going to, and he wanted something white, and I liked reds. I'm always drawn to reds. So every time I'd go, oh, that's a cool red, he'd go, nope, I don't like it. And it was always, it was in his room. It was his thing. So I couldn't get what I wanted. He always had to get what he wanted. And eventually he let me buy that red. But yeah, he liked the high whites. He started getting just a bunch of different kind of things, not really anything in particular. And then I liked the Dalmatians. That's was my first pair was Dalmatians. So we did our first pairing in 2019 was when we first paired them.
Oh, okay. And, so you guys were in it 2013. You were into reptiles, got your first cresteds, and then not till 2019, then you started breeding.
Then we started breeding, right? And I only did 2 pairs that first season, and one of them I didn't get anything out of. I got a couple bad eggs, and the other one I got 7 Dalmatians my first season. So
wow,
that was it. So
you hit that season where COVID started to hit and the prices went nuts. So did you guys do pretty well in terms of your collection and
we didn't sell anything over COVID. I was supposed to attend and do my first show in April of 2020. There was a big show at the Orange County Fairgrounds that was part of a pet expo, and it was huge. The whole entire Orange County Fairgrounds was just this pet expo, and there was one building of reptiles. And I was supposed to show at that show in April of 2020 and never got to do it. So so I did not sell anything because I wasn't, into the online selling or anything that. So I sat on everything I had, grew it up. And the first time I sold a gecko, I actually had a couple of friends that came by and bought a few from me here and there. But the first time I technically sold a gecko was when I met you, AJ. The first time was
in Vegas.
No. I met you and Brett at the September 2021 Anaheim show.
Yes.
You, Brett, and Kevin came out. The 3 of you were there, and that was my first ever show.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was the first time I sold any geckos.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
that was a long time ago. So that was the first time that we ventured out west,
right?
And
that was
I don't know
the first
if we had,
show.
I don't know if we had told you, but it was kind of like, oh, I've always heard about super shows. I've never gone. We just kind of wanted to see what they were about and see if it would be cool if we could go out and vend there and stuff. And so we went to, how many did we travel to 3 before we ever before I vended?
I saw you at that one, and then I saw you in Vegas, and then maybe Pomona in January. I don't know if you guys went to Pomona in January after that September one.
No, not. But the first thing we did was Anaheim.
Anaheim was last year, first time 20.
And then we did Pomona January.
Yeah, correct, this year.
Yeah. And then I think it was March. Well, no, it was September, I think, for Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Which was at the convention center, the Reptile Super Show.
Yeah, and that show will go down in infamy just for being like the peak of the market, right?
Right. And then the worst show ever for everybody else.
Yeah.
That was literally the deadest show I've ever worked.
There was like
nobody there.
Yeah.
I walked away from my booth and left my booth with nobody in it multiple times.
Wow.
Because it was just there. It was so dead.
The venue was beautiful.
It was a beautiful venue.
I wonder what happened. Like, was it just like?
I don't know.
There's plenty of people.
Yeah, I expected the people in Vegas. He advertised it everywhere. I expected the people in Vegas. I think that maybe the convention center is more for out of towners coming in than it is for the locals to go to. That's kind of my theory on why.
Maybe locals don't want to be down on the strip.
Yeah, possibly, or they just think they can.
We lost your video, Beth, but we could still hear you.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys fix that, but we'll keep talking. But I mean, I think there's another show in Vegas, another local show in Vegas that still goes on. I think, right? I think people still vend it. I wonder how that show does, AJ. I'm not sure.
So that's the show that I've been doing.
The Reptilian Nation one.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No, not Reptilian Nation. It's a Central Valley Reptile Expo.
Okay, so that's the
lost my video.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will pull it back. I lost the video for a second at first.
Yeah, I saw
The
you.
only one who hasn't lost it yet is me.
We're taking
There you
turns.
go. What happened, Kyle? It just
Maybe
flipped
the
off.
cord. But yeah, I think Rami and the Super Show, it wasn't doing well, and maybe he just pulled the plug on that one. And so now,
Yeah, he
Vegas
said he
just
would do
it's
it
just
again. He got
not
so
doing
many
it again.
people complain about that show that he'll never do that again. So
Hmm.
Central Valley Reptile Expo guy, Neil and Guy took over that venue, but they moved it to a casino, which they had done it at before and had success with it. And I've done 2 of those shows now, and both of them been really great shows. Just
That's awesome.
lines out the door, busy the whole
So I
entire
wonder
day.
what the deal is. I mean, so if it's at a casino, so it's like in the Strip, and that one does well.
Yeah. No, it's at a casino off. It's up off the 95. It's not on the Strip.
Okay. I wonder if that was the issue. People in the local area just don't want to go there.
Yeah, I don't know, possibly, but yeah, it's actually up off the 95, a little ways off the Strip. It's about 20 minutes from the Strip. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go visit that show sometime.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a good show.
That was a fun trip for sure.
Vegas.
Yeah. So Bev, so you continue ever since then. You've continued to just do all the local shows, right?
All the local shows, yeah. So I did 10 last year.
Vegas.
What'd you say?
Everything in SoCal and Vegas, Southern California.
SoCal, Vegas, a little bit in Central California.
Like Fresno.
I did. I haven't done the Fresno show. I heard it's not the greatest. So
yeah, I've never been to that.
I hit up people and say, "Hey, how's that show?" And then kind of pick
like
what
in the
I
middle
like
of nowhere.
to do.
It's pure farmland over there.
Yeah, I've done the San Luis Obispo show 2 years in a row. I'll do that again this year. There's actually they added a Ventura show in this year, so we're going to go to Ventura this year. So that'll be there, and then the Vegas shows. So yeah, pretty much whatever's within 4 to 5 hours for me is doable. You know.
Yeah, and you guys enjoy doing the shows. So you primarily vend shows rather than sell online, or do you kind of? I do.
That's so far how I've moved the majority of my geckos. The plan going forward is to move into more online sales as well. I will not continue not going to the shows because I like going to the shows. I like the interaction. I like being around the people. I like the community. It's for me. It's a good time. I enjoy it. So
yeah, shows are awesome because you actually get to have that one-on-one interaction with the customer. And my favorite thing is when I have like a whole table of animals and somebody comes and is asking me questions. I have that whole table of animals to do education, to teach them about morphs, and here's this and here's that, and here's what happens when you add this and this together, you make that. It's so much easier than if somebody's Instagram messaging you and you have to do all the same stuff. So there definitely there's some real benefits to the in-person interaction. Yeah. So yeah. I mean that's go ahead.
That's all I knew from the beginning was the shows. I never, it was late 2019 when I bought my first gecko and had it shipped to me. So, and since then I've had a lot shipped. I've had them from Belgium and Canada, and I've had a lot shipped into me. So
so when I even when the first time that I met you and the second time in Vegas and everything, I was always really impressed by your display and the constant evolution of your display. Could you kind of talk us through maybe your thought process on vending shows, the way your booth looks, how it presents, how you interact with your customers there? Because I think you really do it excellently. So
that's my older son. That's all him. When we decided to start up the business, picked the name, formed our LLC, we went in 50-50 with my older son and me, with my younger son being the sales guy and the gecko guy, because my older son doesn't like the geckos. He doesn't want anything to do with them. He won't even touch them. He doesn't know anything about them.
Have we met your younger son?
You did at the very first show, but you probably don't remember him. He hasn't
Okay.
been at any of the shows lately. He's
Okay.
gotten more of his own thing going, and he actually was going to go to the last show, but he didn't end up going. He works a night shift, so he's sleeping during the day most times. So
Okay. Is he
it's a
still
little
pretty
bit-
involved with the geckos with you though?
not as much as I would like. There's move over to the next one, Harry.
This one.
That one. So that's our new booth layout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. We saw this
So,
at
yeah.
Pomona when we were
At
there with you.
Pomona, Kyle and I came
like-
up with this in the hotel when we were at Slow. Just one
Yeah,
night
this is
sitting there.
crazy.
He's been wanting to do an open booth, and I was against it. And I said, "Well, let's compromise and do half open." And
Yeah,
it worked really well. I was very
great.
happy with the way it worked.
and
the
you
way it
definitely
looked.
stand out for sure. Your
Yeah.
it draws you. Maybe this is why Nick Cage came over to your place because it's like,
Very
it's like a movie set.
possible. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
a great
that's
setup.
all. That's all my older son Kyle. That's all him. The marketing end of it. So
Good job,
he's
Kyle.
the one that's in charge of that. Which I guess it's a good thing he's not into the geckos because he looks at it differently.
Mm.
So we play off of each other's strengths and make it work. So yeah.
So that's more of his expertise is more the visuals and the marketing and all that.
Yes, and the layout and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely have input and help, and the geckos and what I put out and all that is all of course on my end. And but every show I go to, if it's a different layout, I hit him up and go, "Hey, how do you think we should do this? Where do you think the cases should be? Where how is it going to be laid out?" So, and he's always got his input, or he's there helping me lay it out. So
Yeah.
one
So
or
he
the
comes
other.
to all. Does he come to all the shows with you, and then he does the setup? He does all the setup here.
Most of the shows he comes and helps with setup. The bigger shows he sometimes will work during the day, like he would pretty much work Saturday and part of the day Sunday, and then help tear down.
Okay.
He can't help anybody with the geckos, so he can't answer any questions about the geckos. So he basically just works the booth and helps people make the sales and takes the money and works that end of it. So
yeah, that's great. That's a good team. You guys are a great team.
So with the semi-open setup, Harry, the one she had at Pomona, if you could go back up there, could you kind of talk us through maybe the mentality in which you landed on this? Why you wanted an open section, why you wanted like that kind of like tabletop, all those different things, kind of your mentality is as far as how you landed there.
So Kyle, when we were at the first Slow show we did 2 years ago, October, Kyle, we were backed up to the Zoom Ed booth. And they were right as you walked in the door, the Zoom Ed booth was there. And they had 4 pillars on the corners that were lit up. And they had the podiums like that. And it was all open walk through. And Kyle, and we were on the back side of them. And Kyle just kept walking over to it going, "This is what I want to do. This is so inviting. This is so cool. This is what I want to do." And so we walked it after we set up our booth that night and looked at it and talked about it. And we talked to the Zoom Ed guy and he said, "If you're selling product, you can't do this kind of a booth. It doesn't work for selling." And so we kind of butted heads on it, went back and forth on, how we were going to do it and how we weren't. And we knew we wanted to, at the end of last year, we knew we wanted to start this year off with a new backdrop. He liked the big backdrops. Some of the local vendors had these big, huge backdrops, and some of them had like 3 different vendors on them. But they were the big, instead of our 10-footer, he wanted to go to that 20-footer backdrop. And so we were looking at that, and I've been in printing my whole life. So I have tons of connections in printing. So I was able to make that happen and get that printed up. And in looking at that booth, it had the podium there. It's also got another little piece we haven't used yet, which is an iPad stand that we can put an iPad out there with showing pictures of the geckos and our breeders and whatnot. So we're working on doing some new photography so we can get that going, hopefully for either June or July of this year.
That'd be
have
awesome.
that out there.
You guys got TVs.
We have the 2 TVs up there. So it was just kind of a work of his open layout on that left side, and then keeping with more of a closed layout with all the cases on the right side so that we could still be able to be back in the back and help the people with the geckos and stuff like that.
Mm.
One of my helpers actually comes out and walks out front and gets down in the front with the geckos with the people, on the ground with the little kids and stuff. So being out in front of the cases works too. So that was kind of our idea.
Yeah. What do you do here on this podium? Like, what is this used for?
We put a couple of plants up there and put stickers and business cards out there.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it just kind of is, it kind of centers the corner there. It just kind of makes the booth so that you know where it starts and ends at the corner there. And it was just kind of a cool little thing to put out there. And we didn't really have anything specific. It's not strong enough to like put a bioactive on. It's a little more wobbly. So we just put some smaller stuff on it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just your experience in print is very evident in the booth setup. It's just gorgeous. So I love that. So when you have customers come to the table, is there, a way that, because I feel like you do things very well. You're very inviting. Like when you helped me at Tinley, you're just awesome to work with customers. Is there a way that you think about the way that you want to approach your customers and how you want to serve them? Like if somebody comes up to the booth, what is your way in which you approach them? Is it hi, how are you, let me know if I can help you with anything? Is
always I
what is your kind of lead that you
tell everybody that works in the booth, you see those chairs back there, we're not sitting down in the chairs. You're up, you're in front. The one thing that I don't like is when I go to a booth and someone's sitting down in the chair in the back and they're on the phone and they never even look up at you and acknowledge.
I agree with you. Yes.
I think it's kind of rude in a way. It's not inviting. So I've always maintained that we need to be customer service oriented, especially since basically our main sales are at the shows. So we're more customer based at the shows to where we're just always there, always talk to them. And basically just always say hi when they walk up. How you doing? How's your day going? Having fun at the show, whatever, strike the conversation up. If they seem interested, a lot of times pull one out and let them hold one. The kids especially are like, oh, hey, I get to hold a gecko, and then they feel it. And a lot of times that just pulls them in once they find out how soft they are and that they're not scaly feeling. And
and do you, so speaking of working with families and selling maybe first pet reptiles, do you offer like kits or any sort of dry goods supplies? I know I've seen your bioactives. You used to sell more dry goods. Do you still sell diet and kits and stuff like that?
So we sell a lot of food. We've got 2 food racks and 1 spinning food rack, and we sell a good 150 to 200 bags of food a show.
Really?
We sell a lot of food.
That's crazy.
And I think it's because of the displays that we have of our food and how they're presented, and they're right next. So we sell a lot of food, and we were selling more dry goods. We've stopped selling as much. We've narrowed down what we're selling. We used to sell the plants and stuff like that. We're not selling the plants anymore. We've got the ledges and a couple things like that. So the thermometers, the ledges, things like that are more necessities. A couple little the coconut huts, the little caves or whatever, if they want to buy something like that, they can, but mainly we're trying to push more towards the geckos. So the bioactives, the January show was the first time. I've been wanting to do those for a long time. And I finally found the tanks that I liked, which are those Pangea tanks. And I finally brought them out in January, and we sold all of them in the January show. And since then, every show I've brought them out to, I didn't take them to Vegas because I can't travel with them, but every other show we've sold them and we've sold out. So
wow,
that's great.
How long does it take you to build one of those? Like build just the cage itself?
15, 20 minutes. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, I got to build the cage. The cages come flat and I have to put them together.
Yeah.
That takes about, 15, 20 minutes to do that. And then to throw the stuff in, plant some plants. I do them all at the same time. Okay. So I kind of line them all up and just go
Knock 'em
by
all out.
and knock them all out. Yeah, a couple hours, I'm done. So, but
That's
I
nice.
enjoy doing them, and it gives and so we offer a deal with, if you buy a gecko, you get a discount on the bioactive. So
Yeah.
and then we always, suggest you buy a thermometer or a ledge, and definitely the food with it. So
That's great. Yeah, that's really smart. Yeah, it seems like you have a very good, attractive booth, and then you have all the necessities that everybody needs, right? In terms of like
right.
new breeder, from a new breeder standpoint.
Yeah.
When it comes to your geckos, like, is there a certain price range that people are drawn more towards, kind of with your entire setup and everything?
It's funny because even though I sell a lot to families as pets, and I have the lower end geckos, down $50.
Mm-hmm.
The price range I end up selling the most in is right around the $200 range.
Okay.
So the majority of them are, 150 to 200. So, I have my higher end ones that I sell more to people who are specifically looking for those. But at the shows, it's the mid range that sells the most.
Yeah. No, that's
I remember when I always, Harry, who was it who did the poll? Was it you or was it Pino? I forget who did the poll asking about
the pricing
on Instagram, like what is your average price range budget of what the geckos you buy. I forget if it was you in your broadcast channel or
I've asked a lot of questions.
But I thought it was really interesting. It was like 80 or 90% of people said like 300 or 400 or under.
Yeah.
And so, it's interesting because obviously we're very passionate about producing very high-end geckos, but when you actually look at the market, 80 to 90% of people don't want to spend that much money on an animal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that they can't afford it, or maybe they don't want to afford it. Maybe they don't want to spend that much on an animal, especially if they're not a business. If it's a hobby, or if it's just kind of like a side business where it's more of a hobby that pays for itself. Not everybody wants to go spend multi-thousands on animals.
Right. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's actually probably a good thing, because it means there's more opportunity for animals to be sold, and it's just more people to be brought into the hobby too.
Mm-hmm. Beth, are you constantly rotating and changing up? Talking about buying geckos. Are you constantly evolving your stock in terms of your breeders? Are you always trying to upgrade? Or
I am not. I got to a plateau. I started end of 2019. My son looked at me, the younger one, the crested gecko guy, looked at me and said, "If you're going to do this, Mom, do it right. Go buy the lily white. Go buy the high-end geckos. Buy what you want." And I looked at him and said, because I was just going to start small. And he said, let's go full foot into this and do it. And I said, all right, let's do it. So, I bought my first over $1,000 gecko from Mark and Megan at Northern Gecko. I bought a lily white from them. So, I've bought quite a few from them over the years. And so that year 2020 was just my buying year. That was the year that I went on a buying streak and just started buying the breeders and looking for what I wanted and picking and choosing. And I've only actually ever sold two of my past breeders. I have every single one of them. So not that they're all breeding anymore, but I'm very choosy about what I pick and choose and buy. So this year, the last two seasons were basically the same pairings. The last two seasons. This season, I have a lot of new. I put a lot of my breeders that I had the last two seasons, and they're not breeding this season. I still have them all, but they're not paired this season. They're taking a rest. And I've got quite a few new projects this season. I've got my Xanthics. I've got Frappuccinos going this season.
Yeah.
So that's all new to me. I've got Emily Berkline that I got from Christie's at Flora Fauna last year.
Awesome.
She's breeding this season, so can't wait for that one. Yeah, I've just got a lot of new stuff this season. I changed all my pairings up, have very few that are still the same, and just everything's all new. So really
That's
excited to
exciting.
see. I've got about 80 eggs already. First
Nice.
one
Okay.
should be hatching right when I'm in flora fauna. So,
Nice.
and those are my frap eggs. So
Oh,
let's see how
nice.
that goes.
Frappy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And because
so.
you got cappuccinos pretty early on, right? Was it on purpose?
No.
Was it just kind of you happened to have them and didn't know?
Yeah, I rescued a gecko from a pet store. I was at a pet store one day and I looked at this gecko. I went in there to buy something else, and I never look at the geckos or any reptiles in the pet stores ever. I went there to look at something else, and I just happened to walk by and I saw these two females sitting in this cage, and it had this gray slop in this cup, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And a worker came down the aisle, and I go, what is that you're feeding it? And she goes, it's that Repashi stuff. And I'm like, you mean the Repashi? and I was like, can I see that gecko? So it was just an all dark gecko with some white dashes on it.
Oh,
and
no.
I said, can I see that gecko? It was a female, and she pulled her out, and it was on sale for $25.
Wow.
Normally 50. So I said, all right, let me take it. I'm going to take it home. I could not leave it there. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
that's
took it
sad.
home and I hid it. I didn't even tell my boys that I bought it. I hid it in a cage so they wouldn't even know that I had it, because I was like embarrassed. I bought this gecko from Petco it was. And I was just like, oh no, I finally broke down and told them. And then I paired her the first season with just some Harlequin male, and I got a bunch of gray geckos, and she was my cheaper down and dirty line. I called her my beer line, right? Because all my geckos are named after alcohol, and she was my beer line. And I put all the geckos out on the table for $75, $95 that first year, and they were all light gray with that dash pinning. And I sold them all. I didn't keep a single one from that first season. They were just let's get rid of them to whoever wants to come by and buy an inexpensive gecko. And the second teaser, I paired her with a dark male, and I started getting the caps had just started becoming popular at that point. And I looked at these geckos that were coming out of her, and I'm like, what the heck is this? So I was like, oh my God, she's a cap. So I still have not proved her out. I don't want the super, so she's with the Lily this season. And from what everybody said that I've heard, I don't know if this is a for sure thing, but if I get a frap, then I can prove her by that way. So
we'll give you the pass.
If that's true, because everybody that's looked at her and all the babies that you see, it's a cap. She's a cap. She's got all the markings, all the signs, everything about her. Even Anthony from Little Monsters has said she's a cap. They've got a few of her offspring. I know she's a cap.
You don't have to prove by making a super anymore. That mentality is long gone.
And that's what I don't want to have to do. So so this season, that's where my frap eggs are. That's hopefully where I'll get those fraps. And she's a good producer. That second season with her, and even last season with her, I got 75% cappuccinos out of her.
Wow.
Only problem is they're all male.
Really?
Those males, for some reason, they're all male.
So Bev, you say you have about 80 eggs currently. Every season, what are you trying to hit in terms of numbers? Because if you're running all these shows, you need to have a consistent number of animals, right? So how many breeders do you pair each season? And what do you expect in terms of egg production and hatchlings?
So when I built this room, they used to be in our house. I don't have AC in the house, so it's harder during the summer when it's hot to keep the temperatures cool with window ACs and floor ACs. So I built this room and added a mini split in it so that I could control the temperature in this room. This room was already here. I tore it down to the studs, put insulation in, put all new drywall up, painted it, the whole works. And completely sealed it so to keep the bugs and stuff out. This is in the garage. I'm actually out in the garage in this room.
Okay.
So it's built in the garage. When I made this room, I added all these tanks, and I had so much more space, and I kind of went a little crazy that season, and I did too many. So that was kind of my first season. That's like a point for a new breeder is don't overdo it. Think about where you're going to house all these as they come out. So that was like the 350 range. So I like to be around 250 a season.
Okay.
225 to 250 is where I feel comfortable with a season.
So is that like 20 females?
20 to 22. Yeah, I've got one female that I get 4 to 5 eggs out of a year. That's it. She's one of my stellar breeders, so I've kept her going. We'll see next season. She'll probably take off, but I've got a few that I don't get as many from. So, yeah.
So how many shows is that? Will that last you? Or how many shows do you do per year?
So I did 10 last year with Flora Fauna this year on the new Ventura show. I'll do 12 this year.
Okay.
So
and then how many geckos do you bring per show usually? Do you fill those racks?
I bring 100 to 110 per show out is what I bring out. So and then just see where I go from there. Hopefully sell in the 20 to 30 range.
Okay.
At the show.
So when you do those shows for you to have 110 or so, is that pretty much everything that is sellable sized will come with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Based on the progression throughout the season when stuff is up to size and whatever. So the animals that you're hopefully by the back half of the year, the animals you're selling are not the animals from the front half of the year. Those are already sold and
those are already sold. So I like growing mine out, selling the bigger. I don't like selling small geckos. The last show that I just did 2 weekends ago at Orange County, I actually brought some littles out for the first time in a while, just because I know that there are some people who specifically want to buy little. So brought some of the littles out just for those people. But I like to sell mid-range. My goal in the beginning was 15 gram and over. Now I'm at the 10 gram and over, but I have a lot of adults, a lot of grow outs that I bring out. So I like to stay in that realm.
Yeah.
So
that's good. And you said you sell about 20 to 30, or you try to hit that number per show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So photography has been one of my biggest challenges. Having my son who's in the film industry, you would think it would be easy for us, and it has not, because what he looks at something and what I look at it is two completely different things. I'm looking at a live animal and I look at the colors and the patterns, and I want that to show. He's looking at the background and how it's centered. He doesn't care about the color of the gecko. He could care less. And I'm like, no, that does not look like the gecko. So that's been a very, we tried a light box, didn't work at all. So that's one of the reasons that I haven't done a lot of online sales, is just because the photography has not been there for me. So at Flora Fauna last year, I sat in on the photography workshop, took a lot of those tips home and talked with my son about it. And we ended up buying last year a new lens and some lights and some backdrops and stuff, and set it all up in the garage and did a photography shoot. We've done a couple of them now, and way better, working better for us.
That's awesome.
That's going forward. Where we're going is more online sales. I actually have some listed on Morph Market now, and we'll start pushing that more. The Morph Market is just got some basic mid ranges on it, and these are all just from my camera, my cell phone.
How's Morph Market been? Do you feel like you're getting good inquiries, or do you feel like it's a lot of window shopping, or what's kind of been your
window shopping so far? But I'm still just new at it. It's just I've just really put my foot into it in the last couple months, so still just waiting to see. And I haven't pushed my Instagram to show people that I'm doing it, so they're not looking specifically for me.
Okay.
So I want to make sure I can get some. I want to do a new photo shoot, get some really nice geckos on there, and then I'll push it to Instagram at that point.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for Flora Fauna.
Are these shots in your
so
garage?
That actually I took late at night a couple nights ago in my gecko room in her enclosure. She was just fired up, and I came out to check on her, check on the room, and The majority of those are out in my backyard,
I see.
in indirect light. That's against the wall in my backyard where I have some plants over there in indirect light. So that's, yeah, those are all in the gecko room. The table that's usually where I'm sitting, that's my workbench. It's just from the gecko lights on there. So those pictures aren't the greatest.
Okay. No, I got you.
So,
yeah, photography. I think I remember when I was talking to Harry, maybe in some of the earlier episodes, we talked about this.
Yeah.
I think the episode where we talked about kind of the business of breeding geckos, that might've been pretty early on.
Yeah.
But I think I said in that, like, photography is probably like 50% of what a gecko business is. It's so crucial.
And that's where I've been lacking, and that's where I need to build myself. That's this
especially
year.
If you want to be an online business.
Yes. And I do want to start selling online more. So that's, yeah. I mean, I will never quit doing the shows. I enjoy doing the shows, but I definitely want to build the online. So
do you feel like you're going to continue more shows, or do you feel like it's a good amount of shows, or you want to do less so you can kind of mix and match between online and the show?
You know, you think about it, 12 a year is 1 a month. That's actually pretty good. I do have 2 months off and two months that I have 2 shows in. So I feel it's good. I do want to do more. If some more add in this area, I will add some in depending on when they are. Like last year I did a Sacramento show. I did a Sacramento show last year. But this year it lands on the weekend before Flora Fauna, and I don't want to.
Yeah, that's why we're not there.
Back to back, that's hard.
It's this weekend actually. It's
especially
it's
no, it's next weekend.
Oh, next weekend. Yes, next weekend. Correct.
And so that's back to back 2 travel shows. I just can't do that. So
yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, that's hard.
I did find out that the San Luis Obispo show got pushed back a week this year. So because Tinley got pushed back a week. So Tinley is open for me now. So I'm not sure yet, but I would love to come out to Tinley in October. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I had a great time last year. So
I'll get you a badge. Just tell me.
Okay.
So what date is Tinley pushed back to?
So it's the 13th again. It's the following weekend. It's you know how the days just keep moving, and then because of leap year we moved. So it's the weekend. It's kind of almost
12th and 13th.
12th and 13th, where it's always been more the 7th, 8th, 9th kind of weekend. Yeah. So it just got pushed back a little bit. So
I think the March one is the one that moves a little bit more than the October one. But yeah, there is some movement for sure year to year.
Yeah.
Would you ever come then, like the Tinley show?
I don't know. You know, we're going to see how Flora Fauna goes. I'm super nervous about flying my geckos. You know, that many especially.
How are you doing it? Are you doing FedEx?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've already talked with Debbie and Morgan, and they said they'd be sending some information out shortly here. So I'm waiting for that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go FedEx. But we're not coming in until Thursday evening.
Okay.
So FedEx is going to be closed by the time we get there, and I don't want to ship Thursday to be there Friday. So I'm going to ship Wednesday. They'll land Thursday and be at FedEx at the Albany hub is what they told me to do.
I think Brett's going to
pick them up for you.
Yeah, Brett will pick them up.
Right, Will?
Yeah,
Brett. Yeah, you send it to Brett.
Yeah,
you put them
that's so cool.
Yeah, if you just basically ship them with Brett's name on them, and then he'll go pick up 40 boxes there. And bring them all back to the venue. So when you get there, you can just roll up and get your animals right there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, cool. That makes me feel so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the deluxe service. You don't have to worry about it. So.
When we leave, we just ship them with Debbie. Debbie will send them back to our house. So
then you give Debbie the box, and then they all get shipped. So you don't have to go to FedEx either time in New York.
Exactly. I will, because I shipped geckos home last time, you know, a small box, but this time I'll just stand in line and ship them all back with Debbie again. So yeah.
You know, vending just a little bit worried about the price to ship over there and then price to ship back, right?
The price wasn't the worry at all. It was just, you know, it's just, you know, what if something happens? That's a whole entire box of high-end geckos.
Well, the good news is this time of year, the weather's very mild. So, and the weather up in Wyndham is super mild.
It is, yeah. I've already been looking at it out at this point. I saw Thursday rainy again, like it was last year. Last year I came in on Thursday and it was raining that day, but then it didn't rain the rest of the week and it was nice.
Yeah.
So
no,
we'll see if we
pretty
get
cold up there. I think people, I heard some folks last year showed up, came from hotter climates, showed up in, flip-flops and shorts, and it's like 45 degrees, 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're up in the mountains in New York. It's cold.
It's cold.
It's going to be in the 50s. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be in the 50s still.
Yeah.
Still
so great shipping weather.
Yeah. We're getting a little warmer here now. I don't know how you are up there in Sacramento, Harry, but we're getting a little warmer here. It was in the high 70s this week, which is still fine for shipping for us. But we had a couple days where when I looked at it ahead of time, it said it's supposed to be 90, but then it ended up going down to 85, So
Yeah, Sacramento's more inland. It's hotter for sure. I'm by the coast, by San Francisco, so it's in the 70s right now, which is nice.
Yeah.
So how was I was going to ask you, I just did the conversion of my garage to a Gecko space. How was that process for you? Was that, you ripped it down to the studs and you did the whole thing and you did the mini splits. What was your considerations in everything you did there? What kind of led you to that decision as far as that was the solution you wanted? Was it just sheerly space? Was it, I know you said the temperatures was a big driver. And what were your learnings from moving to the garage? Because I just did it and I'm learning things still.
I mean, the garage, my youngest son had said this the year before and I had been against it because it's just so many bugs out here. And the room had been a playroom at one time and then it had been a dog room at one time. And the walls were just, from the dogs scratching on them and the whole, it was a storage room. We kept storage in there. At this point, it was a storage room. And I was like, the wall, we used to have a garage door to the back yard that opened up in the back that was called a boat garage. So you could put a boat through your front of your garage and into the backyard.
Yeah.
Well, that door had been removed and a new wall had been put in the back, but whoever put in wood paneling underneath the window and it was all rotted out.
Oh.
And they didn't stucco the outside of it and it was not done correctly. So when I went to my oldest was going to move out. And when he said that, I'm like, great, I'm taking over your room. I can close the door, keep the cats out for one thing, and have put a floor AC and a window AC in there and control the temperature. It'll work. And then at the last minute, he decided not to move out. And I was so bummed. I had the whole room laid out and everything. I knew what I was going to do.
Like, never mind, I'm staying.
Take the closet doors off. I knew exactly where every rack was going and how I was laying it out and all of it. And he said, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, oh. Are you kidding me? Because
you're out. We're kicking you out.
I had 2 racks in my dining room and I had 2 racks in my bedroom, and trying to keep, the control of the temperatures in those 2 rooms in the summer was brutal. So I was like, he said, well, I've got an idea. Let's do the room in the garage. And I said, it's not usable. He said, tear it down to the studs and redo it. And I went,
insulate it.
Okay. Yeah. So it started January, I think it was 21 January, and it took me till May to finish it.
Did you do it all by yourself, or did you hire contractors? Or?
Nope, I did it all myself, except I had a little bit of help. I had one person that I know that knew how to frame, and we framed that whole entire outside wall to the backyard, completely reframed it, put a new window in. And my next door neighbor actually was a contractor, and he gave me all the tools and told me how to do it. I'm the one who mudded it and stuccoed the outside and everything.
Wow.
Did all that myself.
You do all the drywall tape and mud too?
Yep, I did.
Wow. Yeah.
My son helped me hang the drywall. I put all the insulation in. We fixed some of the studs in the room, and the ceiling we learned was at an angle. And we ended up having to tear the ceiling down and put all new ceiling beams in.
Joists.
And then, yep. And then ended up putting insulation on top of that and putting 3/4 inch plywood on top of that for attic space up there for storage.
That's awesome.
And My son helped me hang the drywall, and then I did all of it myself. Sprayed the texture, painted it, everything, the ceiling, all of it.
Wow.
Came out and put all the racks in. So I did have the mini split professionally installed. It's the only thing that I had someone come do.
That's
so.
important.
Yes.
You don't want to fire.
I wasn't messing around with the Freon, so I was like, yeah.
How big is your garage? What's the dimensions of it?
Is it 2-car garage?
I don't know. Is it just a regular 2-car garage? I don't know what the garage dimensions are. This room is 9 foot by 12 foot, so it's just basically a bedroom size.
Okay.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's the size of a normal bedroom. So it would have been, yeah, it's not huge.
Okay.
I didn't want to move out. I mean, when we had it torn down to the studs, it would have required a lot more framing to move it and make it bigger. So we just kept it where it's at and just used it. And at the time, I didn't fill it up at the beginning, but I sure filled it up fast.
Yeah. So what's in the garage? Is it your breeder cage setups? Do you have your hatchling racks there? Or
Everything.
Everything's
It's
in the garage.
all of it, all the way around. Yep, all the way around the whole entire room.
I see.
So,
and then what are your temps that you keep at? Your temps and your humidity that you keep at in there?
So humidity right now is 62 and the temp is 74.
Okay.
So
that's exactly what my place is right now.
Because if I close the door's open because of the camera, but if I close the door and I spray only when I feed. So I don't spray every day, and I very lightly spray. And the only reason I spray is because I have bioactives, and I need to keep them wet. So I spray them, and I do spray the hatchling tubs down when I feed. And if I close the door, it'll get up to 80. I have a Govee in here that alerts me on my phone if it gets too humid or if the temperature fluctuates under a certain or over a certain amount.
Yeah.
And then I come out here and I'll open the door. I can open the window. There's a window out here, and then the door, and I can get some flow through to get it to get the humidity down. So.
Do you have all your breeders in Exoterras, or what do you keep them in?
They are all in the Exoterras. Yep. They are all semi-bioactive. Okay. I tried a bioactive with the breeders one time, and she just buried her eggs down underneath the roots, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And I ended up having a gecko hatch in the cage that I found. And then when I tore the tank down at the end of the season, I found another egg that I know had hatched that I never found the baby. So I was done with that. So what I do is I have just a little bit of the cocoa husk mixed with the eco earth on the bottom, maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch on the bottom. And my room, because it's all the tanks behind me are all bioactive, and everything migrates down. So all those isopods and springtails have migrated down into the breeder tanks. And so all of the cocoa husk and eco earth are just filled with the isopods and springtails. So they basically take care of it and clean it. Nice. And I don't have to. I tore them all down at the end of the season last season, and I didn't find poop in a single one of them.
Wow.
And none of them they're all fake plants. None of them have live plants in them. None of them have the drainage layer. They just have the isopods and springtails and the little bit of the cocoa husk in the bottom. So
this is the room that you're in currently.
This is the room I'm currently in. Yeah.
Okay. It's not huge then, but it's a good enough size to keep everything that you have.
To keep everything I've got, right? Exactly.
Okay. Do you spill anything out into your house now? Are you really trying to keep everything in?
I try to keep it all in here because of the temperature and the humidity. I've got a huge house with tons of room. I've got a giant living room. I could put anything in there if I wanted to. It's just then when summer comes, I would have to move them back in here. So,
okay. Yeah. It's so clean. Everything is so neat and clean in your setup.
Thank you.
Your room. It's beautiful. Yeah, you did a great job.
One of my goals this year is to start wool at a time and convert these over to acrylics. So
herb coat?
Just so I can lose the space where the racks are, where they're sitting, and I can stack. I'm going to start with this where those tubs are right there. The end wall, as it turns around here, the end wall right there, that rack I'm going to pull out, and I'm going to put all my breeder tanks down on that end and stack them.
What kind of cages are you going to use?
I've been looking around a couple different. I'm actually kind of stuck right now in Wisconsin cages.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's got some nice prices. He seems to be quick about getting it to you. So it's just a matter of we're gonna just budget it out, and when we have the money ready to do it, we're gonna do that wall first.
Is
We're
that
gonna
Cody that makes those?
I'm
Is that his
not
name,
sure what the
Cody?
guy's name is at Wisconsin Custom Cages.
Yeah. I believe that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've seen their
Yeah.
cages for sure. I've seen
Yeah,
their
so-
bigger cages. Like I've seen their like monitor cages and stuff like that. I don't know if I've seen their
Yeah.
gecko cages.
Yeah, he's got the arboreals. He's got 3 wide, the 18-18-24s, and that's where I'm going to start and stack them up.
Nice.
And
Is that what you
start
prefer
from
for
there.
your breeder adults? 18-18-24s?
Yeah. If I could go bigger, I would, but that's what fits in here right now. That's what I've got
Yeah.
the space for. So
Nice.
I
The
keep my
geckos are
guys.
living the life of luxury over at your place.
Yes,
Do you?
I do.
Oh, go ahead, Beth.
I do keep mine together, my male and females together
Okay,
for the season. So
Nice.
it's just
Give them more
what
space.
works best for me. And
Yeah.
a lot of the tanks behind me are the breeders that I'm not using currently, or space to move one out if I need to. If I have an issue with one, I'll definitely just pull it out immediately, which I've think I've ever had 2 issues ever, and that's it. So
That's good. Yeah, it seems like a pretty good setup that you have going on there. Yeah. So do you feel like that's a good number? You're not going to expand any further than what you have at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think I'm good where I'm at. I do have 2 gargoyles in here. I would love to do, a little bit in the gargoyles. We actually got our first gargoyle back in 2014. So
Oh wow, a long time ago.
we had one. Once my son found the cresteds, he saw the gargoyles and wanted one of them. Had to have a red one, the stripes, all that. So we got one way back then. But
yeah, if you love red geckos, you got to do guards.
Yeah, I've got a female that I've had for quite a while. She's big. And then I actually brought my male from Brian, Sundown at Tinley.
Yeah.
He's got some good ones.
So that's a project down the line. Space. It depends on how this conversion goes and how much more space I can get myself in here. And I also want to convert over to racks with the pull-out tubs in them.
Yeah.
So
like PVC.
That's
racks.
a game changer.
Yeah,
it's
it helps
a total game changer. So right now, the way I've got this set up is all my breeder tanks on the bottom with the medium tanks in the middle, and then the tubs all on top. So it's kind of hard to change one whole rack when I'm losing my breeders from the bottom from that rack.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to try starting with this end wall here and putting all my breeders, or at least 9 of them down there. Starting with 9 breeder tanks there, move them over, then I can start converting some of my other racks, and I want to get some of those the ones with the pull-out tubs. So
yeah. So you're in your grow out / hatchling bins that you have lidded. Did you say that you have cocoa husk, or do you use paper towel? Do you use paper towels?
Paper towels in those. Yeah, all my tubs have paper towels in them. Everything else is cocoa husk, eco earth with some isopods and springtails in them, and it's working really good for me. This room, they just migrate everywhere. And that's what I learned in the beginning when I started this room. And after a year, I started seeing them in tanks they were not originally introduced in. I'm like, wow, they're going.
It's funny how they can do that.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, you want to be there, go for it. You're helping me out.
Yeah. So Bev, as we kind of like talk about a little bit about into the details of your geckos and your projects, what are some projects you're currently working on? Are you gonna? I know you mentioned you have caps, working on fraps now. You have exanthics, right?
Right.
What are for this upcoming season? Are you excited about? Are you gearing up towards? And tell us a little bit about your projects.
So definitely excited for the exanthics. I have always loved gray and dark gray colors. It's just kind of one of my things. So to see an axanthic in that dark gray, even though my cappuccino is the dark gray, she's really that, kind of cool color. That's probably what drew her to me, is why I bought her in the first place. I can't wait for my first axanthic to hatch, just because I've got 2 hets, 200% hets. So just definitely looking forward to that. And then the fraps, I really like the fraps.
Yeah.
Lost my camera again.
Okay, it's all right. We hear you talking as Kyle.
Fraps are so cool. I know we talk about it all the time, Harry. Just like, just the contrast of fraps is so cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
The patterning, the contrast, how everything pops. I love fraps. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that stay white. A lot of them yellow out, but some of them stay white. A few.
No, it's funny because in the beginning of my cap girls, all of hers were staying white, and when I saw the first cap that was yellow, I was like, "Whoa, what happened?" And so I was like, and then now mine, I've noticed some of them have started yellowing. Mine tend to stay more on the white side, but I do notice some yellowing on them too. So I love the fraps. I can't wait for my first frap to hatch because I like the lily whites. I am not a white, like I said, my son liked the white. I don't like the whites. I don't like the high whites. I like the lilies, but I like more pattern on my lilies.
Yeah.
And the fraps, that's my head axanthic girl.
Oh yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah. You got this last year, July last year.
Girl. Yeah, I just got her last year. She was up to breeding weight, and I paired her for this season. So I've already got eggs from her.
Nice.
So,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
What's your male look like?
He should be down there somewhere. I lost my screen right now.
No worries. We'll keep
I'm
chatting.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
You're back. Hello.
I'm back. Yeah.
It's a different character.
If you go down further, he's probably closer to the bottom. Keep going down, down, down. He's more of a red.
We're too far.
No, probably not. There he is, right there. Okay, go up, right below that picture. Right. Okay, see the picture of the room? Go down the one right below. Yeah, that's my male.
Okay.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
So yeah.
Also from Brian Butler from Altitude.
Yeah,
Nice.
he within the first week I had him drop his tail. His tank mate was making noise and he didn't like it. He dropped that tail like right off the bat. I don't know why. I usually don't have adults drop their tails, especially when they're by themselves and just hanging.
Yeah.
But
what do you think about Bev? What do you think about the new stuff like sables, Cho-Cho, all that stuff? Does any of that interest you? Pixel?
Not really. So the Pixel, it's kind of funny because I have a lot of stock from ACR, and I'm surprised out of all the lots that I bought from him that I never got a Pixel. Maybe I did have one and didn't know and sold it way back then. But the Pixel doesn't do a whole lot for me. The sables, I'll wait for the prices to come down.
Yeah,
I would like to introduce. They are, but I'll probably wait till next year to get a sable. I'll probably introduce them into my lines just to get the white, and try to get that yellow into the white. So
do you like tangerine?
Yes, see, I do. I like tangerine and lavender. I've got a tangerine male that's. I have a tangerine line, and one of my males has got the look of what a fringe morphs tangerine has.
That's cool.
And I'm trying to find a female for him right now for next season. He'll be paired next season. And he's just got that super, super cool tangerine on his side. He's a full quad stripe, full pinstripe. Really nice guy. That's hard to get a picture of him, but
does he have white too, or is he all tangerine?
He does have the white too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a picture of him there somewhere, but he's just so hard to capture his tangerine. I do have a picture of him, but I have no idea where it's at. So
yeah, no worries.
So cool. I love the dark contrast, the empty back dark contrast quad stripes. So I do have a line like that guy right there. That is actually from my very first pair.
Wow.
That gecko is from that pair, but that's not from him, the pair, So
that's like an empty back animal.
Yeah, I bought these two geckos off a table at a show, and they were the first two geckos that I paired together. And I love everything. They're both full quads, and what they produce is just way better than what they look like. If you go down on my Instagram all the way to the bottom almost, there's a picture of the male. Go up a little bit. Right there, right next to the cups, on the left of the cups.
Yeah.
Right there. So he's 88 grams.
Wow.
Ooh.
He's a big boy.
He's a chubs.
He's huge. He's not even chubby. He's just big.
He's a fatty.
Yeah.
He's just got a big structure to him. So that's the male of that line. And the female, she's like 65, and she's a quad stripe just like him. He's not fired up there. They both fire up that dark color, and I love that pairing. But that's the one I only get 5 or 6 eggs a season from. So
yeah, that's cool.
So yeah.
Bev, as we kind of like veer towards closing out, I did want to ask you, what are your goals for your business, future wise? What are some dreams that you have? Do you plan on expanding? Do you plan on other avenues of sales and whatnot? What are your goals moving forward?
So goals moving forward is, at this point this year, I want to change the room out. I want to just slowly start working on moving the room out, changing the room, so hopefully I can get some more capacity in here. And not have to move anything into the house. I mean, I could if I need to, but don't want to at this point. And then more online sales. Definitely.
Sales. Yeah. So you would have to expand this current room, basically break down a wall and expand it. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about changing it out.
You're caging.
Changing my caging out to accommodate more. Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Just give you a little breathing room, and then maybe get some lidless racks and stuff like that.
Hatch racks. Smaller
hatchling racks,
breeder bins,
and get acrylics going. I lose space in the corners here because of the way I have my racks. Whereas if I have acrylics, they could butt up to each other, and I could get more in. So
because I have both. I have exoterras and I have acrylics in my other side room here. And I'm just stacking up my acrylics, and they're light and easier to clean. So yeah.
I mean, I haul these 1824 exoterras out in the backyard and scrub them down.
Oh, no.
They're heavy.
I'm upstairs. I don't know if I can bring this downstairs anymore.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It's nice. I'm right here, and I can just haul them right out to the backyard.
Push them down.
I do.
Yeah, when you move to PVC or acrylic, you're going to be like, why did I always have this much glass? Yeah. And being bioactive, I'll do all my acrylics bioactive, so I don't have to. I love setting the bioactives up. So.
Yeah, it's fun. They're very
exciting. So Bev, the thing we always do at the end of the podcast is ask experienced breeders what their advice would be for new breeders and people maybe with new businesses, people that are vending shows, that's a new experience for them. If you're going to boil down, kind of your learnings over the last 10 or 11 years, what would you say are some kind of key things that you would pass along to the next generation?
The biggest thing I would say is take it slow. Take your time on buying what geckos you want. Most people just, and I did. I think everybody does. You jump in. Feet first. You go buy all the geckos, and then you end up with a bunch that you're like, oh, I'm not going to use this one. I'm not going to use that one. So take it slow and really be picky about what you're buying,
Yeah.
And as far as vending shows, be there. Customer service. Customer service, I think, is definitely, to me, one of the things that you really need to concentrate on.
Yeah.
To just be there for the people, talk to them. Have a presence. So
just being that kind of trusted advisor role at shows and being a good resource for people that are learning about the hobby.
Yes, definitely.
That makes sense.
But take it slow. What you're buying, slow it down. There's a lot of patience in this industry because you got to let the gecko grow out, then you got to wait for the eggs to hatch, and then you got to wait for the to grow up.
It's a very it's one of those hurry up and wait, kind of a thing.
Yes.
There's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of waiting.
There's a lot of waiting.
Yeah,
Lots of waiting, guys.
I tell Harry all the time, I'm like, there's a lot of patience. You need a lot of patience.
a lot
You need
of
a lot of
patience in this
patience. Oh my
game.
goodness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bev, where can we find you? Where can everybody message you? And thank you for your animals and your setups and your wisdom. And just
I'm
say hi.
always on Instagram, and I'll always respond quickly on Instagram. I do have a Facebook page. I don't get those notifications as much, so I don't see them as quickly. And then, like I said, I just started Morph Market. We do have a website. We actually had it up for 2 years, and we just deactivated it 3 days ago.
Oh, how come?
Because we were tired of paying for something we weren't using.
So
we decided to go to utilize Morph Market more and see how that goes. But we are going to actually add some more stuff, more content on the website too. We are going to keep a website going, but you're not going to be able to purchase stuff there.
Okay, you're not going to do an e-com store. You're going to do all your e-commerce through Morph Market.
Through Morph Market, correct? Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
At least for now, we might go back to it. We'll see, but yeah, we just shut that down like 3 days ago. So
okay.
Yeah.
So just stand by for your new revamped website.
Yeah, it's just at this point going to be a placeholder. It's just going to be a information.
Is that where you'll go for your breeders and stuff like that?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I'd like to. I really need to get good pictures of my breeders. I've been concentrating more on photography for what I want to sell as opposed to doing the breeders. I don't have a lot of good pictures of a lot of my good breeders, and I need to do that too and get that going. And either put that on Morph Market or put it on the website, one or the other. So
awesome. Oh, and you're vending flora fauna.
Yeah. I've got flora fauna coming up, and then I'm actually going on vacation for 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
where are you going?
I'm going to Ireland.
Oh, Ireland.
The opposite of Hawaii.
Exactly. I have never left my geckos since I've grown to this size. I really haven't left them for more than 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks is going to be a little bit on edge the whole time being gone from them, not being here.
Right.
So
you got it automated, so you got everything.
Yeah, I wish. And then after that, I have a show June 1st, 2nd at Orange County, and then Pomona the end of June, Anaheim the end of July, September back to Vegas, October San Luis Obispo, and possibly Tinley too. And then November, the beginning of November is Ventura, and the middle of November is back to Orange County for my last show of the year.
Wow, yeah, you have it dialed in. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a lot
awesome.
Coming up. So yeah.
Awesome.
So if anybody's on the West Coast, if anybody's in SoCal, come see Bev.
Yeah. Come visit our booth at the shows and message me on Instagram. I'm always on top of it. So
yeah, well, yeah, thank you, Bev. Every time we're at the West Coast shows, we always see you, and we're happy to say hi and chat with you, and it's always a good time. So thank you for spending time with us and hanging out with us.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we're excited to see you in 2 weeks. Flora fauna.
Yes, flora fauna, definitely.
Yeah,
awesome. So
right,
yeah,
thanks,
thank you guys. See you guys.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Bye.
You too. Bye.